Hi guys, I am wearing my chemistry shirt, which is my major, and I am ready to film this video. I've been thinking about filming this for a while because I really want to help any of you guys out that are really nervous or are on the college track already and just want to maintain those good grades and you need some tips. I have some tips from my freshman year last year during COVID, so it's a little crazy, but here are my tips that I maintained a good GPA and good grades. And sometimes it's hard, so you need those motivational tips, so I'm here to share some of mine. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the tips. Obviously this is only for freshman year. I do not know the future years to come. It's probably gonna get a lot harder, but this is based off my experience during COVID and as a freshman of getting good grades. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, I want to disclaim and say GPAs and grades don't define you, and even if you get a bad grade or it drops your GPA down really far, it does not mean that you can't boost it. It does not mean that you are a bad student or that you're not smart, because I, throughout the semester, had a lot of bad grades that ended up being good at the end. I'm gonna go ahead and get into this video now. So the first thing that I said is find a space. So I prefer not my room because I read one time that you shouldn't associate studying and sleeping in the same room because you're gonna have less accountability in your room to not just go and take a nap. It's different for everybody. You have a desk in your dorm, so you can make that into your perfect study area, but for me it didn't work very well because I didn't hold myself accountable very well. What I like to do is walk somewhere on campus, because not only was I walking quite a far distance, 15 plus minutes to get somewhere, then I was like, I have 15 minutes to walk back. It really kept me motivated to stay where I was and study versus walking back, just because that walk was so much. So yeah, I found spaces and on my campus that I really liked, and just for different reasons. So sometimes I'd sit in a quiet study area when I had to read or I had things like that, and then whenever I didn't need such a quiet area, I would sit in the Starbucks lounge because it is loud in there and they play music. So it really just depended on what kind of work I needed to get done, and your study area doesn't have to be the same. You might get tired of it. And I also recommend switching seats and tables every once in a while, because if you get up and move to literally just a different table in that lounge, I think it just gives you new motivation to do your assignments. So that's a little trick that I have. And then also finding playlists and ambiance. So they have lo-fi playlists on Spotify that you can listen to, or like coffee shop playlists, and I really love both of those because it's just really aesthetic music that you can study to. It doesn't have words, it just keeps you really focused on your work, but it's also like relaxing. And also ambiances. Subscribe to this account on YouTube. They do different ambiances, so they have study ambiance like Hogwarts and stuff like that, or they have like summer ambiance. So that's what I recommend. Next is keep an organized set of notes/assignments. I use an iPad on Notability, so I have all my classes in different folders. I have all my notes separate. I have like lecture notes, reading notes, all that stuff, so that I can find things really easily. When I need to study, it's just all right there. I don't have to look through a bunch of stuff to find what I need to study, which can really put you off studying. So if you're using paper, which I do really like to study with paper sometimes, just make sure you're keeping organized folders. Make sure you're like kind of filing them in different sections so that you can find what you need to find. Next is to get a planner. Genuinely, if I could give you any advice, it's to figure out how to plan if you're not already a planner. I'm a type A person. I'm a Enneagram 1, so I'm very type A. I need things to be organized. So all last year, I kept things super organized, and it helped me so much because I kept a little planner, which this is what I'm gonna give you advice on, but I kept a little planner like this big, and I color coordinated my classes, and I went through as soon as I got my syllabuses or syllabi for all my classes. I went and color coded every single assignment based on what class it was, what day it was due, what time it was due. If it was like a test, then I would just go ahead and plan that out for the whole semester, all the dates that they've given me. That's something I do immediately at the beginning of the semester. So as soon as I get my syllabus, I find all important dates and I mark them in my planner. So that is something that really kept me organized, because important dates can really just sneak up on you, and if you don't have them planned, most of the time you're not going to be ready for them. That's something that I really recommend, is keeping a really organized planner with important dates and stuff like that. Something that I recommend is actually getting like a teacher sized planner, which is bigger weekly spreads. So This planner I got from Target has like what's like, I could write what's due over here and then what I need to do that day, which I was trying to fit in my little tiny planner. So this makes it a lot easier because it's on there for me. So this is from the brand Day Designer. I at least use 2 modes of planning. So I plan on my planner and then I put all my important dates into my Google Calendar. And so most of the time on Canvas or Blackboard or whatever you're using, you can upload it to your Google Calendar. Have this to keep me accountable, and I also have the paper version to keep me accountable. On top of that, I also have 2 to-do boards in my room that hang up on the wall, and I also put important dates of that week, like with dry erase on there. So I am a little bit excessive with this, but if you're as worrisome and nervous as I am, it's good to keep multiple different ways of keeping those important dates and remembering them. So next I said turning assignments in on time. Now this is where your to-do list comes in play. If you keep up on your to-do list and your important dates, you're gonna be ahead. What I recommend is most of the time professors are not going to take any late work, 0%. So what I would recommend is getting as much done as you can in the time that you have left until it's due and turn it in, because you're gonna get a better grade by turning it in than not turning it in, because 0% is way worse than 30%. 40%. Another thing is I had this class that was horrible. It was a arts and humanities class, super hard every week. I dreaded turning that paper in. It was only worth 4 points and it was just 1 page, but the topics were so hard. So I would literally put it off till Thursday, and it was due like Friday night. I would put it off till Thursday and then finally put in some time to it. But I at least recommend putting in 2 hours a week to your worst class. That's outside of going to the lectures and whatever else, your study hall for it. That's 2 hours on top of all that. So spend 2 hours or more on your worst class, no matter how much you hate it, because you will really see results even if it's the hardest class you've ever done, and you will get a good grade at the end of the year if you really try. Next is using Quizlet. Quizlet has saved me so much. And I'm not saying the cheating side of Quizlet. Genuinely, I'm saying creating my own Quizlets and studying them. I know a lot of people use Anki. I'm just not as complex. I just use Quizlet. But I made a lot of my own Quizlets throughout the semester, and I studied those. For my proctored exams, I memorized them. I did it until I was done. I do it in the morning and I do it at night until the exam or until something came. But for those classes that it was open note and open internet, I would just pull up my Quizlet and then put my test here and my Quizlet on the side in 2 different tabs, and I would go through my Quizlet as I'm taking the exam because all the information is on that Quizlet. So what I would do for most of my classes is put all the notes that they gave me into the Quizlet. That way I have everything that they've given me. It was a lot of work. Sometimes it took 2 to 3 hours just to put it into the Quizlet, but if you do that, it is so much better to do it that way than to dig through all your notes and try to find that important fact whenever you can just press Command F on your Quizlet and find it in a second. Next, I said find a GroupMe, but don't depend on it. So I use GroupMe sometimes when I genuinely could not figure out a homework answer for math or chemistry, or if I was just stuck and I just needed some help, I would look in the chat for that. And people would send answers, and that probably wasn't the right thing to do, but it was really helpful to figure out how to do those problems when your professors aren't around to answer those problems. So I would use GroupMe, but I didn't depend on it. I didn't get by through all my homeworks by looking at everybody's answers they sit in the chat. I genuinely tried to work on them, and then for those problems I'm completely stuck on, that's whenever I'd open GroupMe and look if anybody had an answer. Next is find a study buddy. It was really hard last year because I didn't know anybody in my class except for a few people that I'd met randomly. If COVID is still the way it is next year, it's gonna be harder to do that, but I think it was so much easier when I found those friends that were in my classes to study with them, because you have 2 minds, you guys can both think of the answers, and it's just so much easier that way. So find a study buddy that is in your classes and it'll help you so much. Somebody is mowing. What the heck? do not get down about a bad grade, because in that arts and humanities class I sat at a Z for a while. Towards the end of my chemistry class I was at a B minus that I ended up bringing up to an A by the end. It just really depends on keeping your motivation and having a good attitude about it, because if you see that bad grade and you're like, oh my gosh, I suck, I'm not gonna do good the rest of the year, I might as well not even try, yeah, you're not gonna get a good grade. But if you work on it and you really try to bring that grade up and you just don't let it affect your energy or your attitude, you can improve it very easily. So don't get down about a bad grade. Just remember you have time and you can get it up, because I had a lot of bad grades at the beginning of the year and I stressed so much about them, but then at the end of the year I was fine. So just don't stress too much about it. It's just so much extra stress you do not need. Use the practice exams, bonus problems, extra work for those classes that you need extra help in. Obviously we have subjects we're better in and some that we're worse in. So in the subjects you're struggling with, I recommend doing the extra work because it pays off. You're only going to be getting better. So if you feel like putting in that extra work, it's definitely worth it. Something else that is so important is go to office hours. I cannot tell you how important this was. I did not go to office hours for all my classes, but I went for my most important ones. And at the end of my chemistry 117 class, I was struggling so hard in there. It almost felt like AP Chem in high school. And I was like, what do I do? So I started going to my professor's office hours instead of the AIs and the teaching assistants. And he helped me so much with my confidence, with knowing how to do stuff. He really made me explain it in my own words, which helped me to understand it better. And I ended up going from a B minus to an A by the end of the year. So it literally helped me that much, just that difference of learning with my professor, and it just changed the whole outlook of my grade. Find drinks/foods that motivate you to go to a place and study because of it. What I mean by that is the Starbucks area where I studied all the time. It was this huge building at IU and it has a Starbucks in it, and there were a bunch of rooms. And sometimes it was just the only motivation of that day. I was just having a rough day or a stressful day. I was like, I just want a strawberry acai refresher with peach juice. And that was enough to get me there to study. And once I drank that, I was like, let's go. So sometimes you gotta find places that really motivate you to study. That's my little tip to tricking your brain into wanting to study. Something that I'm going to work on this year, but I really think it would help me so much, is to Sabbath. So if you don't know what Sabbathing is, which I'm a Christian, so it's a biblical term, and it means to have one day throughout the week where you rest. I think this is so important, especially in college, because I mean, I was genuinely working at least 2 hours every single day on homework. That's even on the weekends, and it was usually way more than 2 hours, so I'm kind of underestimating what I did. It is so important to have a break. And I know one of my friends, Haley, she said that she wouldn't let herself study past 6. And that was such a good rule. Every day she'd stop at 6. So if that meant getting up early in the morning and getting all that work done, and then at 6 being done for the rest of the day. So important, because I stressed out so much and had barely any free time because I was studying all the time. Obviously it paid off because I got great grades, but at what cost? My mental health was shot half the time because I was so tired and stressed about all these things I had to study. So just really, out of everything I say in this video, prioritize your mental health. Prioritize a day or an end of the night, every night, that you do not study. Do not even think about school. Just watch Netflix, read a book, which you probably don't even want to read a book at that point. Watch Netflix, watch YouTube, watch TikTok, do anything to just let your mind rest, because your mind needs rest too. Even though we feel like we need to be studying all the time, your mind needs some rest and your mental health needs a break. So that's all I really have. I am so happy that I got to film this video for you guys, and I cannot believe that school is coming up so soon. I move in early, so I will have a move-in vlog coming here soon, as well as some dorm things that I picked up because I'm going to be an RA this year. So I'm living in the dorms, thinking again as a sophomore, but I'm gonna film a little dorm haul because I know you guys all love the college content. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me, and I'm gonna try to film more content and just help you guys out as much as I can with my experience and my tips. But I am just praying that you guys have a great semester this year if you're in high school or college, and I just hope for the best for you guys because this is a rough time for everybody. Thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!